do have a question for you. I know you're supposed to be interviewing me, but I do have a question for you. Do you think everyone should have at least one contractor before they hire an employee?
Ooh. Okay, it's kind of hard for me to answer this because my gut response was yes, because it's a lower commitment situation to learn how to delegate. You can practice for better
for better or for worse, for worse
better or for
likelihood.
worse, you can practice with someone who maybe you have to just give 2 weeks notice, or you can end the contract immediately, or it's a set end date. You can kind of really practice your literal interpersonal skills and communication skills, and how do I delegate this? And you can learn a lot, whether that's fair to the contractor or not. That's definitely true. The downside, though, if starting with a contractor, is
it
that
complicates the relationship.
it complicates the relationship, but you also aren't practicing skills that are required to communicate with an employee, because it is different.
Just so different.
It's so different. And truly, I had to do so much unlearning on how to interact with contractors when we switched to employees. And I feel like I'm just now in the groove of being like, oh, I can do this and say this and act like this and ask for this and communicate in this way or whatever, because it is truly different. So I feel like if you're wanting to practice, do it for 3 months, 6 months. Don't do it for
stay
3
there
years.
for 2 years, 3 years.
No. That's what we did. And I do feel like we could have done it sooner.
I would have done it sooner. I think I still would have done it.
Agreed. Yeah.
Because I think there is some magic in having help for even 10 to 15 hours a month.
Yes.
That I didn't, if I hadn't experienced that, I don't think I would have seen the value in what an employee could do for me.
Sure. Okay, so that moves us into this next question. And I think that this is the root of a lot of people's fear around employers. So she asked, employee versus contractor is a big one for me. And I know we talked about the basic definition at the beginning, but specifically she said, I haven't wanted all the extras that having an employee comes with. But with my family's potential move out of state, it's going to be a necessity, and I know nothing about the process. So I think there's a lot to break down here. There's a couple misconceptions I feel like that are being talked about in this question, because you can have contractors out of state, like whether you move or not. That part's irrelevant. So I would love to, I have follow-up questions. But basically when it comes down to all the extras that having an employee comes with, I'm assuming she means like the paperwork and the what do you offer and like all of those things.
Yeah. Okay. So I think first to clear something up, on the contractor side, it's really straightforward. Like you can have contractors anywhere in the world. And because of the nature of the work, they are responsible for the tax implications on their person.
Yep.
You just have to file paperwork that you paid them.
Yep.
So we've had international contractors before. On the employee side, if I would start with domestically in your country, it does get significantly more complicated to hire internationally for employees.
Yep.
And
I would also be mindful of time zone if it's super crucial to how you run your business.
Yes, I do think that's a big thing you should pay attention to, because we used to hire anywhere in the world for contractors, and then we made a switch after we'd been doing it a while to United States only, literally for time zone specific reasons.
Yep.
But the thing to keep in mind is, because you can't dictate when your contractors work, even if they're in your time zone, if they can only do the work on nights and weekends, then
that's when
you are subject to their schedule. Yep. But when you get into employees, you have to be registered in the state in which they reside. but personally, you do not have to register in that state until you've hired them. So most state level paperwork isn't actually filed until after you've paid them their first paycheck. So it's not just hiring them, like you've literally
Mm-hmm.
sent them their first W-2 wages
Or
before
like one
you.
of our employees who their state took like 3 months.
Well, yeah, and even still, they're the state may they have their own schedule, and I
Mm-hmm.
just want to like encourage you that there is so much help when it comes to
Yes.
paperwork. um while there is complication there, it is it is a lot more straightforward than I think you might realize if you use a payroll provider. So we use Gusto and have had great luck with them. There are several other payroll providers out there that similarly will handle the paperwork. This is a new concept. Like within the last 5 to 10 years, you could have a staff that is all over the country, and you could work with a payroll provider that would handle all your quarterly filings. Previously, if you had employees, it made way more sense to be completely local, like in potentially even in your own county,
Mm-hmm.
um to prevent all the headaches of having to file in multiple places. But because payroll providers have made that so simplified, that's not super crazy. The state paperwork, you can use an outside resource like CorpNet, and they will actually file in the state for you. Now, there is a cost and expense to that, and the cost varies depending on the complication of the filing, but within a couple $100.
Mm-hmm.
I would say two to, I think we paid as much as 1,000 to file within a state. But that's an upfront expense. I think the biggest thing with employees that you have to be thinking about is the other things you want to budget for. Most employees, you could budget 20% above their wages and handle all your personal taxes and like some basic benefits. When you start to add like full health coverage or a comprehensive 401k with matching or other benefits, then you may have to um, really budget for more. Like we're at the point where it's like 25 or 30% above their salary for all the other benefits we offer. And that
Mm-hmm.
includes our costs, not just what they earn.
Mm-hmm.
So, all in, we have a way to predict what it's going to cost the company. But I think what's surprising is when you get it down to like dollar per hour, an employee is a lot more, in my opinion, affordable
Yep.
coverage than I think you might realize,
Yep.
because you are paying a premium because you're paying for so many fewer hours of someone's time.
Right. Right. Yes. And when you switch to the employee cost, the what you pay them also comes through your benefits and the work life schedule that you might have. And there are other benefits that might not be financial benefits.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this in a couple episodes too, of how to ethically support your team when it comes to not just paying them a super sexy salary that you maybe can't even afford.
Right,
But
right,
that's a
right.
whole other conversation.
Right. Totally.